Today, we have got lots of news from Summer House as usual, and I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the reunion at the start of this week's episode, because how can I not? And then we have Rhode Island news, the Valley, Real Housewives of Atlanta, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and even some Southern charm. So enjoy today's episode. Welcome to the Bravo Papers, a safe space for all us Bravo fans who love to analyze, deconstruct, and talk about our favorite Bravo shows ad nauseum. So join me, Bravo and Botox, and we'll catch up on all the Bravo news and read way too much into our favorite shows and Bravo celebrities. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Bravo Papers, Bravo Weekly News, here with your host, Emily, also known as Bravo and Botox, here to bring you the tea, gossip, news, word on the street, all that great stuff from the Bravo world. And, we got stuff. We got some stuff, okay? Especially from, you guessed it, Summer House. Before we even get into the news, I want to just give some thoughts on the Summer House reunion, because, this was like a monumental, Bravo moment, much like the Vanderpump Rules reunion after Scandival. This is one of those like down in history type of Bravo moments. So I want to just give my overall thoughts. First of all, it was a great reunion. Sierra did fantastic. I think she came out as, the MVP of the reunion. And, just because she's the one who was like the most hurt by this doesn't necessarily mean she would have been the one who like got to talk the most, because you just never know who's going to be the person who's going to like talk the most and overtake, sometimes Lindsay might do that. Right. But I think Sierra did a great job. I thought she was good at kind of like staying on point, because sometimes when you're dealing with people like Amanda and West, they try to derail the conversation. And sometimes Andy kind of falls for that, which, I'm like, come on, Andy, you've been doing this for so long. They try to derail the point or like shift the focus, like it's what's it called? Not denial, but like there's redirection, deflection. That's the one I'm looking for. Okay, sorry. It's I've only had my tea this morning. I haven't had like a good meal yet. Just a snack. So yeah, a little bit of deflection, that kind of thing. So I thought Sierra did a good point of being like, no, like we're coming back to the text. Let's continue. We're going to read the rest of the text, like, making sure that she was able to get her points out. Because to me, sometimes it's not about like, people talk about like being like, Summer House or any cast on Bravo being able to like explain their points well, to like argue their point, like all that kind of stuff. But one of the hardest things is to even get them out. When you're on a cast with all these different people, Andy's got his questions he wants to get through. You have evil POSs like West and Amanda trying to derail you. So I thought, she did a great job. She read Amanda for filth at the end, and I loved it. Her and Lindsay tag teaming, that was, I could watch it 20 million times and it will never not be entertaining to me. I mean, Lindsay and Sierra, good weather. Like, I did not realize that this was like the friendship I needed. I love the two of them. Were at this DSW event because Sierra's like got a partnership with Designer Shoe Warehouse, and they were like hugging and like taking all these pictures and like gushing over how each other looked and like, oh my God, you're so cute. No, you're so cute. No, you're so cute. And like, they're just like, they should have always been friends. That's what pisses me off, is like, they really should have always been friends. And I think one of the reasons that, and I'm not going to say Austin, if that's where you think I'm going. Like, yes, Austin was a reason, but I also think it's because for all those years, Lindsay was always kept on the outskirts of that clique. The clique being Paige, Amanda, and Sierra. And I mainly blame Paige for the formation of the clique, because Paige is often like kind of like head mean girl. But I also blame Amanda, because Amanda hated Lindsay from the jump, with which, I'm not saying she didn't have reason to, because like Lindsay, but Lindsay saw Amanda for who she was from day one. Okay. She saw who she was. She saw that she was an annoying gnat who's like, can't fight her own battles and is going to whine to Kyle. And every time she has a problem, she's not going to face it head on. She's going to like be like, Kyle, Lindsay cropped me out of a picture. Like she's going to be like that. And Lindsay was like, I don't have time for like this little girl, And I think that, it was really Amanda, like Amanda kind of like wanted Paige in the house so that she had someone strong to stand behind to go up against Lindsay. And, when I look back on it, as much as I've always blamed Paige the most, it was actually kind of Amanda who was the bigger problem. But Amanda is so sneaky and she does everything like behind closed doors and she never confronts everything head on. And I think if like Amanda had maybe never been around in the house or whatever, there would be a much stronger chance that, Lindsay could have been friends with Paige or Sierra, or that other dynamics could have bloomed. I don't know, but maybe like, maybe it's that recency bias thing where it's like because of what's happened recently, whatever. I don't care. Okay. Because Amanda pisses me off so much after this reunion and in general that I'm ready to blame her for like climate change at this point. So I'm joking, obviously. Okay. So yeah, so I really think though that she was a reason that Sierra and Lindsay couldn't get as close as they wanted. I really think so. And I think that, I know Paige was able to kind of get closer with Lindsay in her last season, but I think Paige is such a strong personality on her own. Like if she decides that for the PR and for her career and for her whatever, it's best for her to be friends with Lindsay, she's not really going to give a shit if Amanda or Sierra or whoever in her friend group doesn't like it. She's just going to do it, which we saw her do. I was raised by Lindsay Hubbard, that whole thing, and then, and I think Sierra was just kind of like, all right, whatever. Like, and I think Amanda, even though Amanda seemingly had gotten close with Lindsay, I think for Amanda, it was just, this is what serves me right now. And this is what is convenient for me right now. And we're going on to this new show in the city. And I don't have any other friends because, as they said at the Summer House reunion, Amanda has no friends. And that's it. That was my other, I loved that, where they were like, you don't have any friends. Now, the other thing, what I thought was the most important, most telling part of the entire reunion was the dick pic thing. To me, this was a true insight into who Amanda and West truly are. Like the veil, the mask was completely off at this moment. You see, like people accuse West of doing things because he just wants to be famous, because he just wants, clout, because he's just trying to like climb the ladder, like Lindsay said. And there's tons of evidence to support that, right? Between, everything that's happened, social media activity, etc. But this was interesting because it was like an in the moment happening right in front of our eyes, and him showing us how like giddy and gleeful he is about his dick pics being circulated and his excitement about them, and him thinking, not him, wasn't thinking in that moment about that he's sort of telling on himself. That was why it was so interesting. This wasn't a moment of him like being careful and trying to say the right thing or saying nothing at all to protect himself or whatever. This was like a moment where like he is so giddy about his own, fame, or like the fact that he's like so, notorious right now, that his dick pics would get leaked or whatever the case is, that he couldn't contain himself. I don't know if I'm explaining this well. He couldn't contain it. and he couldn't contain himself. And he was so like, that is West. That is the real West. We haven't got to see it on camera that much because he's super calculated and he very much like curates who he is. And you know, he's like Kyle has said in his street interview, in his 95 street interviews, he's, you know, everything is PR and it's all about like, he wants, you know, more notoriety. He wants the fans to like it, like whatever. So he was wanting to tell everyone with no concept of context and like, this is not the time. Like, no one is going to feel bad for you in this moment. No one is like, this is just not the time to be sharing this. Like, you can mention it. I understand mentioning it in like the back room or during lunch or whatever, but to come out onto the reunion set and Sierra's sitting there and the first thing you're talking about is like, oh my God, guys, look at my dick pics. Oh, it's flaccid. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And then the other thing that was to me the most telling about this moment was Amanda's giddiness over it. And it was just so Amanda to be like, well, no one sent them to me. Like, she's just always like, I wasn't invited. Like, like everything is about about her and how she was left out. And like, everything is about her being a victim all the time. And she also seemed excited about it. And it's like the two of them seemed like they were flirting over these dick pics. Like, let me see. Then she's like leaning over, like, stop being sort of like low-key flirtatious and giddy and acting like you're enjoying this whole situation right in front of all the people that you hurt. Like, read the room. And to me, that is like the true Amanda and West. Like, that is how they are behind closed doors. You know, pictures of them in Italy that have been circulating kind of prove that as well. But to me, that was the most interesting moment. Like, I was just like, I was floored watching that. Like, how... And I heard Andy said something. He called into like a Radio Andy show. I couldn't find the clip today when I was looking for it, but that he was like, oh no, I did find the clip. And he was talking about how like he couldn't believe it either, basically. Like, just what a weird moment. You know, you expect them to come out and be contrite and just like sit there with their heads down. Like, imagine Rachel and Tom Sandoval were like looking on his phone and like leaning over and like giggling. Like, just imagine that. It's just so crazy. So yeah, that's kind of like my overall thoughts. You know, I think the Bailey and Ben thing kind of hijacked the reunion for me. I was a little annoyed at it. Like, I know a lot of people were like, you know, read Ben, whatever. I just don't think that Bailey cares that much about this as she was making it out to be. To me, it came off as very audition to make sure I get a spot on season 2. That's how it felt to me. Because the two of them did make up and they seemed like they were in a good place. And from all the other interviews I've seen with Bailey, it seems like she's really good friends with Sabrina and that they even hang out and all this stuff. So it did seem a little performative to me. You know, I thought Bailey and Ben had an adult disagreement between two people and that they, you know, although they both could have handled it better in some ways, I thought they both made up and resolved it also in an adult, mature way. And that they seemed like they were cool. Like, I just didn't, like, I understand Andy has to bring it up. We're going over the season. You know, case in point, Bailey did post after the reunion, I need to say I don't encourage hate towards anyone. The internet is a vast place, and if you are spreading hate, you have no clue what volume of anger, hate messages someone may be receiving. Everything is settled. No one is perfect, especially not me, and we don't need to pile on. So she's talking about Ben. I said what I needed to say and we can leave it there. And then she says, let's take it easy on people. There's always opportunity to grow. So that's why I kind of think, like, to me, her coming out with that statement after and not sort of like standing as much in the read of Ben is sort of like just her saying, you know, we're cool now. So like, please don't be like hating him and sending him all these messages, etc. Especially since like when I saw Bailey on Watch What Happens Live, she was going on about how much she loves Sabrina. And so I do think that they're kind of part of this group. I don't know who's getting asked back next year. I actually wouldn't be surprised if Ben, Sabrina, and Bailey are all back next year. But I know a lot of people think like Ben and Sabrina are going to be a chop, but I actually wouldn't be like, they might be, but I wouldn't be shocked if they were back. I really wouldn't. But yeah, I think that that's kind of like one of those things, like in the moment, I gotta, show up and show out to make sure I get a spot on next season's Summer House or whatever, which I think there's no chance that Bailey will not get that place. And, there's been all these like think pieces and people, having very strong opinions about this Ben versus Bailey thing. I think that at the end of the day, two adults had a disagreement, with each other. And I think Ben confronted, like he started by approaching Bailey about it. I don't think he yelled at her. I think that's a fact, because if you watch it, he's not literally not yelling. Could he have maybe had a better tone? Yeah, I think so. Do I think Bailey's reaction, she also could have had a better tone? Yes. But I think they both realized that after. And that's why they were able to kiss after that and to have fun and to laugh it off and to make up, because I think even Ben realized after that, like, okay, I could have been a little less like bitchy about it. I think they both kind of realized that. And I thought this was like one Summer House kind of resolution that was like sort of realistic, kind of like the real world, how people disagree sometimes, like adults in friendship groups. But, I know people have different opinions on it. I'm not going to get all into that right now. But one thing I will say is that I much prefer the way that the two of them dealt with it than, people like West and Amanda. I think it's a perfect example of like, West doesn't confront when he has issues with people. He doesn't go to people and say, this is my issue. He talks behind your back. He moves like a snake. He has been resenting Sierra all these years. And instead of sitting down and speaking to her about it, instead, he's just like seething in resentment and then ends up having sex with her, like one of her best friends. Like those are the really dangerous people that you need to watch out for. Right. And that's why I was a little annoyed that people were getting so derailed by the Bailey and Ben of it all. But that being said, I also got derailed by it. So, we're human. But yeah, I think we need more people on the show, who are like Lindsay and Kyle and Ben and Bailey. We need more direct people, because these like snaky behind the scenes people, like the Amandas and Wes, to me, they are the most dangerous people that you really have to watch out for. Silent but deadly, like a fart, as Sierra said. So recently, my sister-in-law told me about this new bra that she got that she's obsessed with from Honeylove. It's called the Honeylove Crossover Bra. So I decided to try it, and I am obsessed. Their crossover bra is life-changing, and what I love is that it has the comfort of a wireless bra, which it is, but with the support of a wire bra. I don't know how they did it, but they did. And for women like me with a larger bust, the support and comfort is very important. One of the reasons I think Honeylove has nailed it with their bras and shapewear is because they're an independent, female-founded brand. So they know what women need and want in a bra and shapewear. That's why I finally have a truly supportive wireless bra that's also comfortable. I also got a pair of their shapewear, the Superpower Thong, and it is honestly the best shapewear I have ever owned. It's actually comfortable and not suffocating, and it doesn't start to like roll down as soon as you start moving, which is always my biggest annoyance. And I honestly forgot I was wearing it. That's because they use targeted compression that enhances your curves and doesn't just squeeze them until you suffocate. So treat yourself to the most advanced bras and shapewear on the market. Use our exclusive link to save 20% off Honeylove at honeylove.com/bravopapers. That's honeylove.com/bravopapers. After you check out, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Experience the new standard in comfort and support with Honeylove. For the longest time, my front porch was a tragedy. I had a wreath with the greenery falling off, nowhere to sit on nice days, and a doormat that was faded and way too small for the space. But thanks to Wayfair, my front porch looks so beautiful for spring and summer, and I was able to find exactly what I needed to match my vibe. The exterior of my home is kind of modern farmhouse, so I needed to find decor that would complement that style. And although Wayfair has like thousands of items, they make it really easy to find what you need. So I was able to narrow down by the style, price, size, and even colors for everything I wanted. I wanted to get a lavender wreath, 26 inches. I just used the filters and no problem. I found one that is perfect. And I love that I could get everything I needed for my front patio in one place, like a chair, my new wreath, front doormat. I got lanterns and a decorative watering can, and it all just looks exactly how I envisioned it. So get prepped for patio season for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Okay, so let's get into some more summer house news. So obviously, the reunion comes out and everyone's like, watching what moves of all the cast members. And Amanda and West were seen fleeing to Rome and to Italy. And people were sort of like guessing that they were doing this to kind of get away from all the hoopla of the reunion, etc. But then I don't really think so, because there's pictures of them and they're like, there's this one picture of them at a restaurant. And I think people need to like get a life. I'm just want to put that out there. Like you're you're in Italy, maybe on vacation. I don't know. Maybe Summer House has lots of Italian fans. I don't know. But you see them at a restaurant and you like take a picture. Ooh, like who cares? But whatever. Like let the people live. I can't stand either of them, but what the hell do I care that they're at a restaurant? But I guess it's just the confirmation that they're together, but we kind of already know that, like they were seen at the airport. Anyways, in the picture of them in this restaurant, they're literally both on their phones. I feel like so many pictures seen of them, they're on their phones and they're not really talking to each other. Like even at that baseball game, like Amanda's like sitting there with her knees up, like looking at her phone. West is watching the game. Like they just don't seem really connected to me. Like I'm just not seeing like the vibe. But I don't know. Maybe that's what West wants. Like just like a woman on his arm that he doesn't really have to talk to. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of sad. Like, not that I feel sorry for them. It's just pathetic, kind of sad. Yeah. So then apparently it has come out that they were actually at a wedding. So this is West family's wedding in Italy. Is everybody getting married in Italy now? Is that like a normal thing to do? Isn't it so expensive? Isn't the economy bad? I don't know what's going on. I feel like there's been so many Italy weddings. Listen, not a criticism. If I could have gotten married in Italy, I would have. But because it's gorgeous and beautiful. But it seems like there's a lot of Italy weddings. Okay, so there was someone who was there, a boots on the ground Bravo fan, as they call them, who wrote a little write-up on Reddit about seeing the two of them there. So let me give you some information here. Okay. I'm going to kind of skip over some of the details that are just not relevant. So basically the person says, when there was a group that walked past them, I realized the voice was Amanda talking loudly amongst her group of 5. She's easy to notice with her big hat. I guess she had a big hat. Amanda was lagging behind. No one really seemed to be paying attention to her, what she was saying. She was really animated and showing or looking at something on her phone. They seemed to be with one of their sets of parents. I'm a more casual viewer, so I couldn't really tell for sure if it was his parents, but they certainly didn't look like hers. Okay. Wes was walking a bit ahead of the mom, an older white woman with straight, almost white blonde hair. He had on a backwards brown Elmwood hat. They love those Elmwood hats, and his head down most of the time. He wasn't talking besides an occasional comment to his mom. Okay, he ignored the rest of the group and they just kept walking. Okay, whatever. The parents looked happy and seemed sweet. There was another younger woman with them who had long brunette hair. She seemed excited, stopped a few times to take pictures. So she was being a tourist. Like, okay, thank you. Where else? At one point, the dad waited for Amanda to catch up and gently patted her back and put his arm around the girls in a fatherly way. Amanda looks extremely thin. I cannot overstate how shocking it was to see in person. I mean, I think her looking overly thin has been kind of a thing for a while. I'm sure this situation didn't help that. Again, I'm not like saying like everyone should feel bad for her. I'm just saying that like a lot of people, when they go through like crazy things in life, whether those things are of their own making or not, if they already have maybe some body image or eating issues, this will exacerbate it. So I wouldn't be shocked at that at all. Okay. No one I was with even knows what Summer House is, and they mentioned it when I pointed her out. Obviously she deserves to be called out and take accountability. However, there's a part of me, I guess this person is now giving their thoughts rather than observations. However, that feels like whatever this life is she's living right now is punishment enough. Wes looks super uncomfortable in my opinion, and I didn't see him turn around to look at her, acknowledge her once, despite how much Amanda seemed to be doing to try to carry a conversation. Okay. Again, this is someone's kind of observations, and they're also adding their opinions, right? Like they're adding their viewpoint as well. This is not like just a factual, like they walked up the hill, then they walked around the corner, they took a picture. Like this is not just, this is like, projecting a little bit, maybe based on what we know, etc. And they could be 100% right in their opinion. It could also just be like, West is hungover and that's why he's not talking a lot. It could mean a million things, right? But, the fact that he's taking her to his family wedding. Listen, Wes taking women to meet his family, we all know that means nothing. It literally, like he took Kyle there too, and he betrayed Kyle. So I don't think it means anything, but I think he knows that because of how big and crazy this whole thing was, he has been pushed into what I would call the hell of his own making, which is a serious relationship with someone who he never intended on it being serious with, in my opinion. In my opinion, she was like a safe hookup because he could like be close with her and, elevate his status because she was going to be like the victim of the season because of Kyle last season, even though that didn't work out, but he thought it would. And then he also was gonna have like a hot hookup in his opinion, like, oh, it's illicit, it's sexy, we're both betraying someone, like that turns a lot of people on. There was like the whole like hiding in plain sight, breadcrumbing, like all of that is part of their like foreplay, right? I know a lot of people are like, oh, diabolical. Yeah, it is diabolical, but it's also part of their foreplay, I'm telling you. And then and then suddenly, I don't think he ever thought that this was going to get discovered. I don't know if he ever thought Amanda was going to like really catch feelings. And then she did. And then it did. And then they kept hanging out. And then next thing you know, he's like married. And that is the best punishment that you could give West. Because trust me, he doesn't want this. He doesn't want to be in a relationship. He doesn't want to be getting like settled down. He doesn't want to be having a girl with him at his family's wedding in Italy when he could be maybe trying to hook up with some hot Italian while he's there. Not that I think Wes could get a hot Italian, but whatever, maybe a Summer House fan. This is not what he wants. Trust me, this man has no interest in this. So he's getting like the punishment he deserves. And, Amanda's repeating history with Kyle part 2. So that's really what we're watching. Okay. So meanwhile, during all this, Sierra's living her best life, of course. And she was on the AMFAR gala carpet. She was asked about her friendship with Amanda. And she says, it's nice to go into the next chapter of my life and have clarity on who's supposed to be there and who's not. I wouldn't do this to my worst enemy. And she confirms there's no chance of them being friends in the future. It's done. It's in the past. And, hashtag hate Amanda forever. That's basically the message. She doesn't say that, but that's the message. So, and good for her. And she doesn't need to forgive them. If people are going to do the whole, you have to forgive, it's better for your soul, da da da. No, she can just, it's okay to just cut ties with people who are toxic for you and just move forward, and that's it. And I think that's what she's doing. And I think that's great. Meanwhile, West is continuing to enjoy the clout and, fame, etc., that he's getting from this situation. And another piece of evidence besides the dick pic thing that he is loving every second of this is him on his podcast with his co-host, who's terrible, kind of talking about things leading up to the reunion. So his podcast co-host, Sophie Cunningham, who's basically a yes woman who just agrees with everything Wes says, asks him this question, which is not biased or leading at all. And she's like, did you ever just get to tell Sierra, dude, we're not dating? What? Yeah, so so Sierra's the crazy, she's this implication that Sierra's the crazy stalker, and that West was just I was trying to tell her, I'm just not interested, but she's a stage 5 clinger. She's climbing in my bedroom window and stalking me. This girl can go to hell, okay? And then West gives some just word salad answer that does not even really answer the question. It doesn't really give any sort of honesty of yeah, I wasn't interested. And, she just kept thinking we were going to have a relationship, even though I made that clear. Just stand in it. I disagree with you because you definitely gave her mixed signals, hardcore, but at least stand in it. But he can't even do that. He's so scared to say something that'll, I don't know what he's scared of, but he's just scared to talk as usual. And it's a bunch of ramblings. But okay, other quotes from West. Amanda and I are doing our best. Going out in public is kind of scary. Aw, poor baby. Let me get my little violin. There have been so many fucking stupid posts on the internet, including AI. It's been so weird. And I was just trying to survive and keep it moving and stay distracted. And I kind of have to run out of steam the last few weeks. I've had a lot of time to think and reflect. So another word salad answer that doesn't really say anything, but everyone feel bad for me because I've been in survival mode. And, it's really scary, leaving the house, because I did something bad and I'm paying consequences, basically. And then he says, the end of summer, Sierra and I were canoodling again. But in the episode, I told Ben that I wasn't trying to be a boyfriend or whatever. But I think it's still a shock to the system and people feel betrayed. And I'm not trying to convince anyone that their feelings don't matter because they do. I know people's feelings are hurt, especially Sierra and Kyle. No shit. Okay, the problem. Okay, can we look at the most important part of this quote? In the episode, I told Ben that I wasn't trying to be a boyfriend. Yeah, that's the problem. You tell Ben, you tell your confessionals, you tell, I don't know, maybe Jesse or someone else. You never tell Sierra. This was her exact issue with the New York Times thing. You told the New York Times, but you didn't tell her. This is the problem. When he's with her, he's flirting, he's touching, he's implying that she should sleep in his bed with him, which implies sex. He's doing quote unquote ear stuff. He's making out. He's saying, this is the best thing that we're friends again and da da da. Okay. And when she's flirting with him and being touchy and affectionate, he's open and welcome to it. He's not giving vibes of no, let's not do that because we're just friends. That would be an honest, I would respect him so much more if in any of those moments he'd said, listen, I don't want us to you to be us to be putting our arms around each other, doing stuff like that, because I want to make sure that we just like, this is strictly platonic. And that would be a difficult thing to say to, you know, a woman who has feelings for you and is way out of your league. But that's the right thing to do. But we all know Wes can't do that because he's a loser. And then he talks about how Jesse's been supportive, blah, blah, blah. But just like supportive as in like checking in on him. Okay, good. That's nice. Okay. As I've been getting older, I've become more and more intentional about what I wear day to day, leaning into pieces that feel effortless, comfortable, and still put together. It just makes getting dressed way easier. And Quince has been my go-to. The fabrics feel elevated, the fits are flattering, and everything just works without overthinking it. Quince makes it easy to refresh your everyday this spring with pieces that feel as good as they look. They use premium materials like 100% European linen, organic cotton, and ultra soft denim. Speaking of denim, I recently got a pair of their Bella Stretch Relax straight jeans, and I'm obsessed. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever owned. They're still like structured and supportive, but so comfy. I have jeans that are literally double the price and not as comfortable or high quality as the ones from Quince. And because of the price, I am definitely going back and buying them in more colors, like ASAP. So refresh your everyday with luxury you'll actually use. Head to quince.com/Bravo Papers for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/Bravo Papers for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Bravo Papers. What else we got? I think I have one more quote from West. He says the worst part about being off social media, because this is what's really bothering him and Amanda, trust me. They're so annoyed, and I've said this from the jump, they're so annoyed that everyone isn't shipping them and that everyone is pissed off at them because they can't just continue getting sponsorships and being on social media. Like they were just loving posting themselves, gallivanting all around New York City and like, look at us and oh my God, and everybody being like, oh my God, what a good friendship. Oh my God. Even though, by the way, even if nothing had ever happened between Amanda and Wes and it was just friendship, I would also think that was fucked up. Like, why are you hanging out with my ex? Like one of my friends. Like, why are you like best friends with my ex-boyfriend? Weirdo. Okay, so then Wes says the worst part about being off social media is my fucking summer house B-roll is so good and it's gonna die. I usually post all the behind the scenes from the parties and shit, and now it just is gonna go nowhere. This is the worst thing for him, guys, that he can't post on social media and get more likes and followers and attention and have everyone love him and talk about how all his behind the scenes stuff is so fun. And so like, that is all he cares about. Like he never, and I'm sorry, like I always thought this since the first time him and Sierra dated. Like I'll admit when him and Sierra first dated, I was like, all right, he might like her, whatever. Like, cause like, it's hard to believe that he wouldn't like her. Because I think as we all, you know, I think we all get blinded by how gorgeous she is, of course. And, you know, we know her and she's got a good personality and all that. But, you know, after he did that whole New York Times and stuff thing, I was like, all right, it's clear who this guy is. Like he wants to, you know, use his like free pass to like just hook up with fans and whatever. And it doesn't matter how beautiful she is. Like it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how beautiful she is. It doesn't matter how great her personality is. He doesn't want a relationship and he's just not that into her, as the famous old saying goes. And he's just not that into anybody because he doesn't want to be in a relationship. So that's it. Like a supermodel can come by, which basically did, and he doesn't give a shit, right? Because he'd rather just have variety and have a whole bunch of different women. Like that's what he actually wants. So yeah, so that's why he kind of like resented her that whole time. I forgot what my point was, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, so what else we got? Yeah, so that's why he doesn't really feel, that was my point. He doesn't feel like, the worst part about this is not that he hurt Sierra, because he already resented and was pissed off at her. Not resentful enough that he wouldn't still sleep with her, because to him, she's just an object. Like, it's a hard pill to swallow, but that's how he sees her. I'm sorry. Because he's a POS. Okay. So meanwhile, when they took off to Italy, by the way, KJ texted Mamma Mia, and I just thought that was so funny. It was just so random and hilarious. What was the other? Oh yeah, the other big thing is that people are sort of suspecting that maybe KJ and Dara broke up. So KJ and Dara seemingly have like unfollowed each other on social media, which is pretty crazy. And KJ has like deleted or archived basically all of his posts that are pictures of him and Dara, except for like a sponsored one. And then he on Threads just wrote a post, around when he did all this, he just wrote, "Welp." And okay. And then people started like talking about it and like, oh my God, did they break up? Oh my God. And he wrote cool, calm, and collective. And people were like, what is going on? They have not made any sort of official statement. Okay. So we don't know for sure whether they've broken up or not. But I think the thing that is weird for people, or the reason people are not sure if it's a real breakup, is because although all of that stuff still stands as of today, Saturday, because I'm recording this on Saturday. It comes out on Sunday, but as of today, Saturday, it's, he posted this video, like kind of like a music video that he made because he's trying to do the music thing. And like Dara's in the video, and she's like the girl he's like pining after in the video, or she's like the love interest of the video. I don't know what else to call it. Now, the other reason that people are kind of questioning how real this is because KJ did share at the reunion about being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And, if you've ever had a loved one who has bipolar disorder, sometimes a situation like this, or like a fight in a relationship or an argument, can lead to maybe the person doing something a little more extreme, like blocking you or like deleting all the pictures. And then you make up and they're like, oh, sorry, like maybe they're having like a bad mental health day or week or whatever, right? Like we don't know what KJ is going through mentally. So that's why like I'm kind of the mindset of like, let's just leave him alone and leave them alone, and sort of just let, if they did break up, when they're ready to announce it, they'll announce it. I hope KJ has like friends and family who are there for him if they did break up, to help him get through it. And Dara too. Like, I don't think either of them are like bad people. I liked them as a couple. I thought they were like a nice couple, but people date and it doesn't always work out. And again, sometimes someone's a villain, not always, but we'll kind of just see from there, I guess. Or maybe they're not broken up. We don't know. So I think time will tell. And I'm sure by next week's news episode, I'm sure we're going to know the answer. It just seems to be how things go. Okay. Meanwhile, Carl was seen at the airport, and he was asked about the timeline of Amanda and Wes and if they feel kind of clear about that after the reunion. And Carl says no. Okay. His answer is basically, we are still confused about the timeline. Okay. So to me, that is coded language for, we don't believe their timeline. Like, their timeline has so many inconsistencies, which it does, that we just don't believe them, but we're not going to say it straight out because, we just don't need to. They're getting enough heat, first of all. And second of all, most of the internet believes that they've been banging since summer 2025. So it's like, let's just leave it at that. Like, I do think and I don't think Carl is the type, like he's, all his interview bites have been very like, I'm disappointed. Like, it's like the mom, I'm not angry, I'm disappointed. which I think is more hurtful than anything else. Unfortunately, not for West and Amanda because they're crazy, but I think Carl's been pretty direct about how he feels about West. I think he's been a little more laxed or forgiving about Amanda because he's known her for so long, but I think he still kind of held her to task at the reunion. But I don't think Carl's going to he's not the type who's going to add to a pile-on and be like, oh, they were definitely together last summer. He's just not going to do that. It's just not his personality. Okay, let's go to some Valley news. So on this week's episode, we saw Brittany kind of recovering from the mommy makeover, etc. And Brittany is kind of clapping back at commenters on social media because a lot of people were saying oh, well, she went through all that pain and she looks the same. And then there's a lot of people being just really annoying and being like, all she has to do is get 15,000 steps a day and eat clean and blah, blah, blah. And she would get her body back without having all this surgery and da, da, da. Shut up. It's such a privileged viewpoint. It drives me crazy. She has a child with autism. And if you have ever known or had a family member or a friend with a child with autism or you have one, do you think people who have that, they don't have time to do the kind of regimented workouts and eating you need to get a flat stomach and stuff like that? I'm a mom with just a regular kid, regular quote unquote, who has a full-time job. I also do this. I also have a house to maintain. I also have a marriage to maintain. I go to therapy, all these other things. So it's and I can barely find the time to even get in 2 or 3 regular kind of workouts a week, let alone to come home after an 8-9 hour workday. And then, I have to cook a clean meal from scratch every night and the money that costs and da-da-da. It is so nice. I'm so happy that so many people are so privileged that I'm sure they have nannies and professional chefs and da-da-da, and they have time to walk and work out all day and da-da-da. It's not realistic for the average person. And you might be like, well, Brittany is privileged and she does have money. True. But again, she has a child who has autism. That alone is a full-time job. On top of working what she does for the show. And people might be like, well, on the show, she gets a sitter so she can go do this, that, and the other. That's her job though. So she does have to get that sitter and get all that stuff arranged so that she can film, so that she can get paid. Right. And then she probably does her podcast and sponsorships and public appearances because all those things are her job so that she can get paid, so that she can probably pay for her, all the debt Jack's left her with and what it costs, again, to have a child with autism. And Brittany's very lucky that she does have money. She probably can get Cruz all the best, therapies and privileges and stuff so that he can have the best life possible and can make the most progress that he can possibly make and all that kind of stuff. So if this is, in the grand scheme of things, easier for her and going to give her more time in the long term and overall with her kid, and so that she's not thinking or distracted by body image stuff all the time. And why wouldn't she be? Because people are nonstop talking about her stomach and da-da-da. Let her do it. It's not hurting you. And just stop being a miserable, annoying person. If you are so lucky that you can do 15,000 steps a day and you always eat clean and da-da-da, congratulations. Go get a medal. Go online and get a medal made for yourself and you can put it on your mantle. Good job. No one cares, by the way. Okay, so Brittany responded and she said, I loved this scene. And after everything I went through, this was a huge moment for me. These comments are also why I will never collab on a post with Bravo TV, because most of them are disgraceful and horrible. I don't allow these horrible thoughts to live in my life after everything that happened to me, and especially not after something that was so meaningful and huge for me. I look and feel amazing. You aren't watching a live TV show. Thanks for the people who are amazing and supportive, and for those who aren't, I hope you never get treated the way you treat others. Be kind, spread love. Yeah, That's it. Like, good for her. She's not, there's a lot of stuff I don't like about Britney. There's a lot of things I can criticize Britney for, but the general like hate and critiques she's gotten over her body are just not it. Like, she has a certain body type and shape. She can't change that. It's like, it doesn't matter how hard she works out or what she eats. You know, some people, they carry weight in certain parts of their body depending on their shape, etc. And if this is going to work for her, it's going to work for her. Or if this works for her, and even if we don't see a huge difference, if she feels better in her own skin after being told she's fat and ugly by Jax and the public for a long time, because a lot of people have, you know, they comment on her looks constantly, then just let her be. Okay. Criticize her for her personality, because she deserves a lot of criticism for her personality. Can we do that? Not for things that she like can't change for the most part. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about some Real Housewives of Atlanta news, because Drew Sidora is reportedly scoring a last-minute victory win as the judge reverses their decision to remove her from the marital home amid her divorce with Ralph. Okay, so she was supposed to move out on May 31st. She had like a deadline, but a Georgia judge has reportedly reversed course and ruled that she does not have to leave the house she shares with Ralph Pittman for now. So, you know, there's been months of like legal back and forth over custody, finances, you know, etc. But it looks like, you know, Drew is going to have some extended time to stay there, which I'm happy for her. I think this is obviously a win, even if it's a short-term win, because yeah, I mean, Drew needs this. Like, to have to leave the home when she's been the one who's been, it seems like, carrying the financial weight and, you know, a lot of other things while dealing with Ralph. This is a good win for her. So, yay for Drew. We hope she keeps winning, you know, the battle against Ralph, but it can be tough. It's very tough when you're dealing with these narcissist types. You know, they know what buttons, they know what buttons to push. You know, they kind of know how to get you. Okay, let's talk about Real Housewives of Rhode Island, after I almost forgot about them last week, because Rosie is shutting down claims that she hooked up with Georgetown's head basketball coach Ed Cooley, and that she bought her home with quote unquote hush money. So this was accused by Kelsey, and you know, I think Rosie was sort of like the most disliked by the audience for the first part of the season, and now I think people are kind of seeing Rosie's side more, and I think people are starting to like Rosie and enjoy Rosie more, myself included. You know, she's still not like my favorite on the cast, but I like her more than I did, right? And I think I kind of am seeing a different side of Kelsey. And I think Kelsey she just seems very threatened by Rosie, which is weird. It's weird. It's like, you know, but a lot of times, like, you know, really beautiful people, they can be very threatened and insecure, even though you wouldn't like, you might look at them and be like, oh, like, why is she so insecure? Look at her, you know, she's a gorgeous girl. She's on this TV show, all this kind of stuff. But it's like, those are oftentimes the most insecure people, right? And the fact that she did have this guy, like, quote unquote, take care of her for 10 years, that kind of shows a little bit of fear and insecurity too. Like, of like going out, like a lack of confidence about going out in the world, establishing yourself independently, getting a job, like, you know, just going from like parents' house to another guy's house who's going to take care of you. It's like you don't have to do anything. There's no threat of failure. So I think there's a deep, deep, deep insecurity when it comes to Kelsey. She needs to work on that. So Rosie clapped back, and she basically just made like an Instagram video. She denies all this, says that there's rumors. She also says like she's heard lots of rumors about Kelsey. You know, she also did another interview where she said she's not jealous of Kelsey, because I guess some people have said that. She says she's not the type of person who gets jealous of other people. She says, the whole thing with Kelsey was the last straw because she felt like she was being constantly discredited by the group and having rumors spread about her and her husband. She says nothing she ever does is good enough for some of those women who also go after the way she dresses and looks. Okay, so Rosie, you are gorgeous, beautiful woman, but she dresses a mess. Like, they should not be making fun of you and bullying you. I'm with her on that with this group, and they're being so unfair to her in so many situations. But, let's going forward, let's give them less ammunition. I need Rosie to get a stylist. No one needs a stylist more than Rosie. And this is not a cast of fashionistas. Like, this is not a cast where I'm like, wow, look at the fashion. Look at them. Like, not at all. They're all not great. Okay. But Rosie, to be the worst in this group that's really bad. And you've got Ashley I around, and her fashions are not good either. So everyone needs to hire a stylist. I don't need you all with glam teams and but actually maybe don't hire a stylist. I kind of like the fact that they all have bad fashions, but they all love their bad fashions. I kind of want them to keep doing that. It's so old school Housewives. Just don't change anything, guys. If any of you are listening, don't change. Wear what you like to wear and what you feel good in, and screw everyone else. That's my message. Okay, so but Rosie's fashion. Oh my God. Okay. But that being said, in this interview, she's wearing this nice white jumpsuit thing. It actually looks really good. Okay. Rosie says, oh yeah, I said that there's also a lot of projection coming from Kelsey. There's plenty of rumors about Kelsey, and she claims she's even heard some from Kelsey's own family. And in her opinion, all Kelsey has ever done is lie. Yeah, I could see that. I think Kelsey does a lot of lying. I'm sure there's a lot of rumors about her too. I feel like this is one of those rare casts, and this is why they're so good, where there's rumors about all of them. And it's just going to be like a battle back and forth of like shooting rumors back and forth. So I think we're in for like 10 plus years of just glory when it comes to this cast. But, Rosie's right. I do think that Kelsey, it is projection. It does seem to be insecurity. And, I do think she kind of came on here like, I'm going to make Rosie the villain to maybe distract from some of my own skeletons a little bit. So, yeah. Speaking of skeletons, Liz's friend Dino is facing life in prison. So I know we talked about him being arrested on like drug trafficking charges, but apparently he is actually facing life in prison after allegedly getting caught smuggling cocaine into the US. Yeah, that's a bad one. If you were caught smuggling drugs in, and I'm going to assume it's large quantities just based on, what I am seeing, the things I am hearing. Allegedly. Yeah, you're going to be looking at some serious prison time. So, I mean, he looks like a nasty character, like, and just all the stuff about him being like threatening to Kelsey and stuff like, yeah, just lock that guy up. Okay. So yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. And, I'm not going to lie. It makes me side-eye Liz a bit. I'm already side-eyeing Liz because I don't like how quickly she gets mad at Alicia over stuff on this show. And I just don't like the way she handles, like, she pops off pretty easily. She's a bit of a firecracker. So I don't like that. And then the fact that she's such good friends with this guy, what does that say about you? Like, you're friends with this guy who like did all that stuff to Kelsey and is like, I don't know, that's sketchy. So I don't know. I'm just watching. That's all I'm saying. Okay. That being said, I don't want Liz off the show. Please stay on the show forever. Okay. Meanwhile, Ashley I was on Watch What Happens Live, and she said, she doesn't understand why Kelsey is talking a bunch of shit about her in interviews and saying that like she never responds to their messages. She never hangs out with them outside of filming. Ashley says that she has responded to that she saw that interview because Kelsey did an interview saying all that, a Page 6 interview. Ashley says she went to her DMs from Kelsey. She checked. She has answered every single one except one where Kelsey was like complimenting her dress or something. But she says, I've responded to every single one. I haven't hung out with her and people because I am never invited. And she says that obviously as well, I'm not going to be hanging out one-on-one with Kelsey all the time because I'm really good with like close with Rosie. And she says, and I have hung out with other cast members besides Kelsey though. So I mean, I think that kind of answers it. Like it does seem like Kelsey is really trying to make Ashley and Rosie like the villains, the outsiders, the ones who are fake. But in doing so, she's just kind of making herself look that way. So it's not, yeah, it's not great. Okay, let's talk about Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So Dorit did this interview with E! News, and she doesn't really say anything interesting, of course. Like, it's not like there's like a bunch of tea or anything from it. But one thing that really stood out to me from this interview is I really, really, and I could be wrong, but I really strongly got the vibe that she's not coming back. She doesn't say she's not coming back. Okay. I just want to clarify that. But she gives this, long-winded Dorit word salad answer where it really sounds like I think she's not coming back. Like I would, if somebody was forcing me to make a bet right now based on this interview, I would bet all my money that she's not. She says how like things are changing and like she's seen in this industry, you never know what's going to happen and you could be cut off at any moment. And then she starts talking about how like, she's entering a new chapter and she's so excited about all these new projects and her book. And, she's at peace with things and she's okay leaving things behind. And there's all this very like coded language and these like strong implications. And to me, it really says, and then she starts talking about how she's having very kind and like interesting conversations, like, with Bravo. She doesn't say literally with Bravo, but it's in response to like casting conversations, the question. So it really sounds like she's probably not coming back. That's what I think. And then she says that she's been texting with Erica a bit and it's been all like, I don't know, like pleasant and warm. So, then she's putting out this like kind of PR, like Erica and I have the potential to mend our relationship. Please, there's my storyline. And here's the thing. That's not enough of a storyline because that people are bored of that. People are bored of her divorce from PK. I'm bored of Mauricio and Kyle divorce too, but I know for whatever reason, Kyle's never going to be off the show, but it's really like it's run its course. I think Dorit's time on the show has really run its course. I think Erica's has too, in my opinion, but I don't know. The network seems to love her. But yeah, I think you can expect a Dorit leaving announcement, sometime in June. I think you can expect it. I don't have any insider tea. I'm just telling you my opinion based on covering these shows for all this time. Okay, our last piece of news here comes from the world of Southern Charm and someone who's not even on the show anymore, but I do want to report on it because I don't know, I just find it entertaining, which is Taylor. So Taylor N. Green from Southern Charm has broken up with Gaston. I can't believe they were still dating this long. But remember when she was on Southern Charm in her last season, she was dating that guy Gaston, and people were kind of like, oh, I've heard this guy's a player. He's always trying to get on TV. He slept with this girl and that girl and whatever, which, yeah, all accurate. But apparently he cheated. So she accuses him of cheating and confirms that they broke up. And, Sally Carson reacted to it. And, apparently Gaston kind of said something like derogatory about Taylor. And then Taylor was getting apparently a whole bunch of DMs about quote unquote only calling the girl out because she called out the girl and Gaston for cheating. But people felt like it was more focused on the girl. And then Taylor posted a picture of her and said girl together, I guess from some boat outing or something. and says, before I get any more DMs about only calling the girl out, she knew we were dating, still waiting for the other women to speak up. So I guess she's saying that there were other women as well, but this woman knew they were dating and had hung out with them and etc. So, I mean, it's hard to have a lot of sympathy for Taylor because it's like, how many times are you going to keep dating these F boys after you've been told they have a history? You know, the best, like the best way to, when it comes to men, to know if they're going to be a good guy or not is to look at their history. No, and I'm not saying not every single person who's cheated is necessarily going to cheat again. Most of them are, but there are, you know, it depends on the context. Like there are some people who maybe had a one-time thing, but if you have somebody who had a habitual, like 10-year or like every relationship they've been in, they've cheated, or they're known as a player, like you're not going to be the special one. And you know, this could go for like Amanda as well, but Taylor's like an Amanda. You know, Amanda thinks she's like the special one who's going to get chosen, and you know, she's not going to get like when, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I think that's the same issue for Taylor. So, you know, what she needs to change is, yes, the type of men that she dates, but she also needs to change this focus on like, you know, even calling out the women, whether you knew them or not, because you're in kind of a, you know, a bad cycle here where you're repeating the same mistake over and over. So it's time to look at, it's time to get some therapy and look inward and maybe be single for a while. So yeah. Okay. So I think that's all we got today. Thank you so much for joining me and for being such a great listener and audience. And you are now in the know for everything Bravo. See you next time. Bye.